Councillors, Councillor Chris Darby had indicated a request for me to make just acknowledgement of a special person in his ward and a matter. Unfortunately, I actually don't have the notes that I thought I would have. So, Chris, can you do that for me, please?
I'd just like to briefly acknowledge two of my constituents. One being Lucy Knight. The name may not be that memorable. The news media is of last year, where she went to the aid of an elderly Chinese woman in the Northcote shopping centre, and she stood up to that thuggery, and she went to assist this quite elderly and fragile woman, and came off second best. And I think you know the story now because I've reminded you. Her road to recovery was quite tenuous, but she has recovered to a certain extent. And on Saturday we had the Northcote Chinese and Korean celebrations. Jonathan Coleman, Minister, was there, and other elected members from Auckland Council. And there was a special award given to Lucy Knight for her real show of community bravery and the signal to the community that you can stand up to thugs and muggers in your town centres, and to not hide bullying in any way. And I think that message was really powerful. So I just want to have this council acknowledge her. It's the first time she's been back to her shopping centre since the assault. It was quite memorable. It was very, very touching. So to Lucy Knight, I acknowledge. And the second person is another bloke from the North Shore, and you've spoken of him in the introduction, Mayor Len, but I would like to maybe just dwell on Sir Stephen Tyndall a little longer. Steve Tyndall is an absolutely remarkable Auckland and New Zealander shore bloke. He's been around the traps for a long time in business, but for all that time he's had a huge social heart. It's always been with him, and it's been always showing. And last night, of course, he was given the Kiwi Bank New Zealander of the Year award. And Chief Judge Cameron Bennett said some lovely things about him, and I think they are now in print. But he talked about him being an absolute passionate New Zealander. And that's often said, but this is a deep-seated passion of Stephen's, and it's not just for business. Yep, he founded the warehouse and won good on that, but he also developed the Tyndall Foundation. The Tyndall Foundation's put some $100 million back into our community, and a lot of that money into Auckland. He's also put $250 million into seed capital for a number of very smart startups. He's an amazing guy, and of course, Mayor Len, he's well behind the Youth Connections program, very, very active there, and at your side just recently, I believe.
Yep.
So he's a sailing fan, he's a Team New Zealand addict, he's a Takapuna cheerleader, and he's a champion of our city. He always is challenging us differently, of course. And the latest challenge, of course, is in our emails this morning at 7:20, and on page 2 of the Herald today regarding the port. So I'd like to acknowledge Sir Stephen and Lucy Knight. Thank you.
Mr. Tyndall's still alive?
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's going to be a long day.
Goodness gracious.
And there was a liberty there.
Some of us can tell you the other
but
side.
thank you. Well done, Councillor Chris. Councillors, I'm seeing of acknowledgements. Right, now we'll move on next, please, to petitions.
Point of order. Point of
Not
order.
aware of any petitions.
Point of order.
Whose point of order of me?
Point of order. Well, point of clarification.
Yes.
I wonder if, in future, given that Councillor Darby has taken the liberty to acknowledge some very worthy people within his ward, and I think that's something that's commendable,
yep.
And I think it should be done. So I wonder, Mr. Mayor, in future, if you would give us the liberty of also acknowledging people within our communities who do good work. There's good work being done in our community every day. So I would like to take the opportunity in future also of acknowledging people in my community, particularly one recently, Barbara Kendall, who's made a major...
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I got the point of clarification. We won't need to worry about doing that anymore. Take note.
You don't need to.
Okay, thank you. Right, public input. So there's no petitions, public input. We have public input from, in the first instance, Graham East. We have secondary public input from Gaze Properties. That will be in our confidential sector. So Graham, welcome. Graham, you know that you've got 5 minutes.